So today I'm going to be doing a review as well as tips on the Everlast Tig 250EX. I've had this machine for about 3 years now, so I figured this would be a good opportunity to give it like a 3-year review. A lot of people have videos, when they first get it, but this is going to be more so what I learned about using this machine for the past 3 years. And honestly, I would give this machine great reviews. I bought my machine off of Sears.com because I was able to use a 10% off coupon for the welder itself, as well as the water cooler, which is down there. The first thing I did with this machine, and which I'll recommend with it, is the torch that comes with it is junk. Just throw that out. I immediately upgraded to a Weldtech torch, I think, with the Superflex hoses. I have it hooked up to the water cooler down there, and then I use a W18 torch, WP18 or WP20. Yeah, it's a WP20 torch. It comes with the WP18, which is really big. I also use a push button for when I'm like welding inside a car, and then I also have the foot pedal, which I use when I'm working on the bench. I do automotive fabrication here at my shop at night, and then during the day I weld industrial gas piping and cryogenic work. And I'll put the Everlast on the same level, if not above, a Miller. Actually, I'll put it above a Miller. For what you get for, it's around $1,800 for this machine, I believe. For what you get for $1,800, Miller offers for around $4,500. And this also does a little bit more than that package. So if we want to go over what all this machine can do, obviously it can TIG weld, it can stick weld, it can TIG weld aluminum, and it also has a spot welding timer, which I had never used. It has the 4-touch, trigger control, which is where you push the button once, the weld starts and keeps going. You can release the button, and then when you push it in and release it again, it cuts off the weld. We also have an upslope and downslope timers. That's for, if you set your amps to 100 amps and you have it set to a 5-second timer, it's going to take 5 seconds to ramp up to 100 amps. And it's the same transversely on the downslope. We have our gas pre-flow and post-flow, pretty much exactly as it says. It sets a timer for how long the purge goes, well, your torch gas flows before and after the weld. This dial is the main amperage control. Then we also have our pulsing settings. We have 2 stages of pulsing. One's really fast and one's the lower setting range. This is where you set whether or not you're doing your 2T or 4T button control. Then we have AC, which is for aluminum, and then DC for when you're welding steel. And you also have your high frequency start, which obviously I use all the time when I'm TIG welding. There's lift arc, which I guess you could use out in the field if you have your lead strung 200 feet and you can't really hook up a button. And then you have your scratch start, which is the same thing as well as for stick welding. And then down here we have our pulse settings. Your pulse frequency is obviously how many pulses per second it'll go from your pulse amps to your background amps. Here's your pulse amps knob. This gives a percentage reading of what you have. So if you have it at 100 amps and your pulse amps is set to 50, when it pulses every time it's going to drop down to 50 amps. And then your pulse time on, and that's how long it goes from your on stage or your off stage, and that's a percentage as well. I can make a whole nother video about setting up the machine for pulsing, which if anybody wants to see that, be sure to comment below and I can do that. And then down here we have our AC balance and AC frequency. Your balance on the older machines, you really want to be, the older transformer style machines, you really want to be on the positive side. Whereas with these newer inverter machines, I like to keep it between 30 and 40 cleaning action, and it works really well with these new inverter machines. as well as with the frequency range. On your older transformer machines, you're locked in at 60 hertz. Once you have the option, it's pretty amazing because I really never go underneath 120. Now if I am doing something where I need a really focused arc, like I'm welding a really thin piece of aluminum to a really thick plate, I'll pretty much crank this sucker all the way up and it gives me a real defined arc. And then we also have the arc force on our stick, which I don't really stick weld too much, so I wouldn't really know the best way to explain it. It's kind of something you feel, but pretty much if you turn your arc force up, it's going to dig a little bit more. But other than that, you know, it's hard for me to explain that. Like I said, change out the torch, first thing you want to do. I also changed out the ground just to give me some extra length. So now why don't we get into the nitty gritty. I'm going to fire this thing up. I'll give you some arc shots and go over how it welds. So this right here is me doing a fillet weld, T-joint, stainless steel. And if you notice, just look at how nice that arc is. It's steady. I'm using the foot pedal to move up and down the amperage as I dab my wire in. As you can see, everything is just nice and easy to handle. Next, I'll be doing a fillet weld while walking the cup. Once again, the Everlast performs just as good as the Miller. I wouldn't necessarily say that the Everlast performs better than the Miller. However, at its price point, it definitely is comparable machine. I use a Miller every day at my full-time job, and I don't notice any difference between the two machines. Here we have a 1/8 aluminum lap joint. As you can see with the Everlast, the filler wire doesn't ball up too much, and the puddle stays nice and clean. Really good cleaning action, not too wide like you'll have with a transformer style machine. The Everlast is an inverter style machine, and once again, like I said, you can weld aluminum perfectly fine with a sharpened tungsten. Give you a really nice tight arc, really good bead profile. So yeah, you can see the machine works great. And the last shots I'll show here are me welding some very thin wall titanium. The tubing is 0.030 wall thickness, and the filler rod is 0.33 diameter. And as you can see, once again, the Everlast has no problem keeping a nice, tight, uniform arc while welding. During my closing here, I'll show a bunch of projects I've worked on with the Everlast welder. To summarize, at its price range that's a third of what Miller offers, the Everlast can hang with the big name machines with no problem. Not only that, but Everlast offers a 5-year warranty on the machine, whereas Miller only offers a 2-year warranty. The only bad thing about the welder is that the accessories that it comes with are junk and should be replaced as soon as you get them. If you're looking for a welder for your home shop or garage, go with Everlast. If you go with one of the sub $1,000 machines, you'll be replacing it every year, but the Everlast is built to last. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, please leave a like, and also don't forget to comment any questions you may have on this welder, and subscribe for any future videos that we have.